Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 156 of the MTB podcast, presented and hosted by Worldwide Cyclery, Kettle Mountain Apparel, and Trail One Components. I am Jared.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Adam.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Today, in this episode, we are joined by our good friend, Revel Bikes founder and CEO Adam Miller, to talk all things Revel Bikes, plus some epic listener questions ranging from taking punches from Richie Rude to the future of Revel Bikes and everything in between. That just leaves everything up for discussion, doesn't it?
It really does.
It really does.
I'm glad to be back on the podcast. I haven't been on since March or something.
It's crazy.
And for those of you watching this on YouTube, I got one of those cool 2-week haircuts, you know, the one that you get and you look at and you go, that will look nice in 2 weeks.
I've never heard that.
I just made it up, dude. It's original humor.
That's hilarious. I got a 2-week haircut. That's hilarious.
2-week haircut.
At first, I was thinking you're going to say, like, I get a haircut every 2 weeks, but it's going to look good.
It's going to look good.
That's pretty good.
Maybe 3.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, Zach's words of wisdom.
Zach's words of wisdom. Say yes to hard things.
I love that.
He may have come up with that because I recently convinced him. Well, he's running a 50K trail run in October,
Crazy.
Right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Up in Big Bear, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So I told him, I was like, man, why don't you put in some real miles and you know, practice what you're going to do. So I convinced him actually first asked him into a 50K and he said yes. And then 15 minutes later, he's like, actually, how about we do 20 miles? And I was like, okay, let's do a 20-mile trail run. And he said yes. And he had a hell of a time.
That's not what I heard. I'm just kidding. No, he said afterwards that he was so glad, but that he wanted to quit so many times, which you kept pushing him. And he came out the other end a better man for sticking to it. So you have a knack for pushing people to their edge and making them stoked for doing it. The type 2 fun, right?
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I tried to take care of him out there. I mean, he's been running a lot, and his data looks good. He's running fast, and he's running a lot, and he's running fast, and riding a lot. And I was like, man, he's fit. He's fitter than he's ever been. So I don't know. I kind of thought he would be totally fine, and he was totally fine until about mile 15, and then it got hot, and that was where we went down into Sycamore Canyon, mile 15. You had to go back out of it. So it's 2,800 feet total elevation for the trail run. And a lot of that was in the latter, 5 miles. And he kind of broke down on me there. And we were getting into some heated arguments because he wanted to he wanted to walk the road back and we're yelling at each other. And I'm like, just sit in the shade for a few minutes. You don't, we were so close. He was 17 miles in and wanted to walk the road. I was like, we're just having this heated argument. And I finally get him to sit in the shade. And right as he's walking over to sit in the shade, Liam and Jorge come back from a mountain bike ride, riding up, and they're like, "Hey guys!" And so luckily they kind of cheered him up and peer pressured him a little bit more, and he kept going.
He didn't fight one of them and take their bike and pedal the rest of the way back.
I was going to say, give me the bike.
Surprisingly, no. So it was one of those peer pressure situations where it was now just not me telling him that you're at mile 17, we're going for 20. Just walk it out if you need to. But walk the route and stay on the trail.
I mean, that's a difficult bike ride, let alone running that far.
Yeah.
That's a huge distance.
That's a huge
yes,
run.
It is, yeah.
Massive run. And to leave the hardest part for the last 5 miles is classic.
I know. Yeah, that's true. Well, it's hard, right? If you want to do a big trail run around here, the best way to do it is kind of drop into Sycamore Canyon. And once you're in the canyon, you got to get out of the canyon. So.
True.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going up and down the whole time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, right, if you do other trails, right? I mean,
yeah, true.
It's up and down the whole time. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're just down and then up.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't sound like a ton of fun, but what is fun is Daniel's fun fact. Platypuses sweat milk. Unlike most mammals, platypods don't have nipples, which they use to suckle their young. So their bodies do the next most obvious choice, and they simply ooze milk from the surface of their skin like sweat. Can you believe that? Could you imagine sweating milk?
I don't know, but I have absolutely no need to fact check that because I hope it's true.
I did.
Yeah.
I did for you.
Oh, that's amazing.
Isn't that unreal?
That's incredible.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
mountain bike podcast. We're doing big endurance runs, and we're talking about platypuses and sweat. We're off to a good start.
Yeah, we'll
I like
get to
this.
biking
These are some fun facts.
We'll get to it.
Let's keep going with the facts. I like them.
The facts are fun,
and
that
something new.
Is why we call them Daniel's Fun Facts.
That is a good one.
And that's crazy. So the kids have to like go up to the hair and like their armpits and get the milk from there. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's
fun.
That's a heck of a fact
and crazy.
Learn something new,
right? Jeff, you should read the fantastic testimonial.
All right. This is my favorite low-budget bike podcast, where three nerds keep me up to date on all things going on of the mountain bike world. Seriously, though, after several years out of the space, this podcast is the best thing I've found to get caught up on where mountain biking has gone in the past 10 years and what's going on now. It's also nice that they routinely suggest products that aren't even their own brand. Keep up the good work.
Hey, thanks.
Sweet.
What a great testimonial.
Thanks, mate.
Some would say fantastic.
Fantastic testimonial.
Some would say.
Yeah, these have evolved into actual... This is still funny because originally we put this little short segment of testimonials in here because people were just sending in these sort of chirpy, making fun of us testimonials, and we thought we'd read those, but you just started putting in people's actual nice testimonials.
Well, some of them are...
It is good to keep it positive.
They're fun. Yeah, it is good to keep it positive, but...
Not just people making fun of me or something.
No, it's always...
For your 2-week haircut.
Yeah.
Right? It's always fun to get one, like, hilarious ones from, like, the Kettle website or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my wife thinks I'm hot in these pants or something like that, I don't know. That's everybody's wife on all of our pants, though, right? Let's hope. Adam, what kind of bikes and rides have you been enjoying lately? I saw you went on a pretty cool trip recently.
I did. I'm more of a mountain biker, but I went on a gravel bike trip, and I had a really good time.
A gravel bike trip.
A gravel bike trip. It was great.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. You went to the Dolomites.
I went to Yes.
Saw correctly.
Yes, I went to the Dolomites. It was a little bit interesting because I planned this bike trip about 6 months ago with some friends in Colorado. And 6 months ago, I was not working. I was no longer
you were on your hiatus
in the
from
bike
Revel
industry.
Bikes, which we'll get into.
My expected, I didn't think it was a hiatus. I thought it was just a permanent, no longer working.
Yeah.
Which was really fun. So I decided to plan a lot of trips and go ride my bike a lot. And so we planned a trip to the Dolomites, and then, the timing was a little bit funny, which we'll get into, but I decided I should still go on my trip to the Dolomites.
Of course.
And
Can't cancel on the boys.
No.
Can't cancel.
Mm-hmm.
No,
absolutely not.
When you plan a trip like that, you got to go. It was great. We biked all around. I'd never been to the Dolomites. Beautiful place.
Oh, fantastic.
It's like where gravel bikes are made to be ridden.
That's so cool.
Gravel roads everywhere through the mountains. There's all these little refugios.
Yeah.
And you can have an Aperol spritz and then just keep climbing another 3,000 feet.
Gravel roads were smooth and nice, huh?
That's so cool.
The best gravel roads, you could call it.
No
Champagne
way.
gravel.
Didn't know.
No way.
Amazing gravel roads.
We did a huge mountain bike trip there before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Chasing Epic.
No, with All Mountain Rides.
Yeah.
Chasing Epic doesn't go outside of North America. That's up Kiwi Phil, mate.
That's right.
He's the one who puts that on. Yeah, that was sweet. So yeah, we did the Dolomites. When was that?
That was 2 years ago, I think.
2022?
23?
23, something like that. It was amazing. I can imagine riding gravel bikes is pretty nice out there too.
I think any kind of bike you ride there is going to be amazing.
Just
the
being
mountains
there.
are just insane.
Just sitting down in a chair there is pretty
Like
spectacular.
everywhere you go, you just look
Yeah.
around and the mountains are spectacular
It's
for days on
mind-blowing.
end. Good
So,
food.
Did you guys
cheap.
do refugio to refugio, like throughout the trip?
We did a mix. So we actually we did change the plans. We had a car bring our gear, so it was like bike packing light.
No way.
So we cheated a little
That's
bit.
nice.
Credit card
that's sick.
bike packing. But we carried it was all day riding. We were up at 7. We were done riding by 5. It was big, like way bigger days than we all expected.
Wow.
And then we stayed in some refugios, some little kind of hostels and hotels, and we were out in the middle of nowhere, and it was kind of right before the busy season, so it was like empty. Like every hotel, we were the only people there.
Oh, that's so
They
cool.
cooked us
Really
these
nice.
meals, and it's like, it's just crazy. You get like great food and beautiful rides, and you're in the middle of nowhere, and it's like not an expensive place to travel when you're there. It's just like really cool, like really nice people all around too.
Yeah,
Wow.
So
Really makes you want to go back, doesn't it?
it really does.
let's go.
Oh, what
Should
a
we do
place.
another trip there with Phil?
I
I'm
think-
sure I could convince him into anything.
I think we should. I think he's doing one next year, so.
I want to ride mountain bikes there. Gravel bikes there were great,
Dude,
but
yeah,
mountain
we
bikes
really
there, I could
should.
only imagine.
The trails
we
are
should just do that trip
awesome.
again.
Yeah,
Um,
we should.
yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm in.
I've been chatting with Phil actually about just future trips and things like that, and Phil's the man. He's so good at running trips.
He is.
The Tasmania trip, which you guys talked about at length. I didn't because I haven't been on the podcast since we went to Tasmania, but God, that was a fun trip.
The best.
That was so much
good.
fun. Riding there was amazing, and Phil just has everything dialed in as always.
The food,
it's just the food
Sandy
was insane. Sandy.
Oh my God.
We had a private chef.
Oh. Wow, living it up.
So Phil's
guys.
I know, that was nice. I don't think we'll have that in the Dolomites.
Oh my gosh. But the food was also amazing in the Dolomites.
It was really good there. Yeah.
I mean,
Phil's just that kind of guy. He's got like, oh yeah, my super close friend in Italy has a hotel in the middle of the Dolomites, or whatever you call those lodges, and so that's where we stayed there. And then in Tasmania, his uncle owns multiple cabins called the Derby Forest Cabins, and it's basically just purpose-built mountain biker cabins that are super nice. And we had a chef and had the whole place to ourselves.
That's like a dream trip,
dude. Phil and all mountain rides, it's money. It's so much fun. So
I wish I let him
we got to do more of those trips because they're adventurous and fun and always just so well done. So we should just go back to Italy.
Yeah, we should. Speaking of ride bikes, Jeff, have you done any awesome rides lately?
I mean, let's see. I don't even know where I've been. I'd have to reference my calendar.
Your Garmin Connect.
I'd have to reference my Garmin Connect. The biggest ride I did since the last time I was on was I did an adventure race, 4-day. I think it took us 93 hours for 4-day adventure race in sort of outside of Bend, Oregon.
Awesome.
Which was, I think the total, so it was 93 hours split between mountain biking, trail running / trekking, a lot of pack rafting, whitewater pack rafting, which was super fun. And then we covered in total 270 miles.
Nuts.
Oh, it was freaking incredible. It was so much fun. We did well. We cleaned the course, which in adventure racing world speak, that means essentially you have, these super long courses, you've got all these checkpoints all over the place. You're navigating to them with map and compass only. And to clean the course means you get every checkpoint. And typically in these races, only about 30% of teams clean the course within the allotted time. And we were the last team to clean the course, but we cleaned the course. So I think 8 teams cleaned the course out of 25.
Wow.
So, and for those of you that heard me talk about, so this was America's Toughest Race, Expedition Oregon, and I did it last year in September. This year they did it in May. If anyone remembers me talking about it last time, we also cleaned the course by the skin of our teeth, and it was hellacious and a really rough time. This time was a lot smoother. Like we just have gotten better as a team. And
is that the Canada one?
No, that one, that was a different race. It was, that was a different one too. The one last September was the 6-day one. That was the one that took 144 hours.
That was at the gorge, right?
Yeah. That was in Mount Hood, Oregon.
Yeah, Mount Hood, got it.
So
it's a lot of days to be out there sleeping for like an hour a day.
Yeah, it was.
Whatever crazy stuff you do.
Yeah,
right?
That's a long time.
Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, that was fun. I just, adventure racing is a lot of fun, and the couple, Jason and Chelsea Magnus, that put on America's Toughest Race, and they run Bend Racing, put on a bunch of these adventure races. They're just so good. It's just them and their crew. It's you do one of their races, and they care. Like they give a shit. They're like, they care about safety. They care about things being organized. They care about the course being amazing. They care about people having fun out there. Like if you go and do a race and you have race directors that are that passionate and involved and into it, it's like, that's what makes you want to go do that race again, even if it was brutal. You're like, I want to do that again.
That was miserable. Sign me up again.
Exactly. That's pretty much how we felt after the last one. We're like, that was the hardest thing we've ever done. Let's do it again. So
that's amazing.
It was cool. So that was my biggest awesome ride. And rode the Yeti ASR on that one. Lightweight, fast, good adventure race bike.
Your custom build that you just finished.
I did. Yeah. Custom built an ASR, custom painted it. Got to get a YouTube video out of that thing at some point.
Definitee.
So,
I gotta
anyways,
say,
no custom built Revels lately, Adam. Sorry, but I got to get one of those in the queue.
Well, yeah, you better. I'm gonna hold you to it. I'll say that the Yeti was pretty sick. I just saw it today for the first time. It's a pretty awesome looking bike.
I did a ton of my adventure race training on my Revel El Jefe. Yeah, my hardtail, my Thai hardtail. So I did a bunch of training on that thing, which was a ton of fun. So.
Great bike.
I got too many bikes in the stable.
They're going to come back. Titanium.
Yeah? Titanium.
It's coming back.
What is the deal? What's going to happen with the Thai bikes?
I don't know exactly when this podcast is coming out, but
next week.
Well, okay. Well, this is a little ahead of the game, but we are going to be announcing titanium coming back.
Oh, wonderful.
Love titanium. Love those bikes.
Yeah.
Well, that's
cool.
so funny. Somebody happened to ask that as a question.
We're getting ahead of ourselves here. But.
Spoiler alert. That's exciting, though. A lot of people were wondering about titanium bikes. So
they're great bikes.
Sick. I love my El Jefe. That was like one of my favorite bikes I've ever
Super
had.
fun bike.
Such a cool bike.
Yeah. I have one. I'll have it forever.
Nice.
But for an adventure race for 4 days or 6 days of riding, I think having a full suspension bike probably makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, I remember you did that one ride in Reno, and you're like, you said you needed a bacchiotomy afterwards.
I needed a bacchiotomy.
Well, you also put a rigid fork on your.
Well, this was actually I had a suspension fork on it.
That was post, yeah.
The mistake I made. So I did a training ride. I did a 45-mile ride. With my adventure race pack on as a training ride, so I had like 25 pounds on my back.
Oh.
Ow.
But the bigger problem was I was with two guys, my two adventure race teammates, that were on full suspension bikes, and we rode a bunch of these sort of 4x4-esque roads that had this sort of embedded rocks in them. And on a full suspension bike, you can really just continuously push power down and pedal through that stuff. Whereas on a hardtail, it's just to push and put power down on that, you're just basically getting bucked.
It's hard.
And there's no way around it. So it was like the worst way to ride a hardtail. And I was like with these guys, and I was like, I gotta stay with the guys. I'm not just gonna go way slow.
Yeah.
So I just dealt with it and just got bucked everywhere whilst trying to maintain pedaling as hard as I could. And you
kind of with a hardtail, and whenever I switch back to my hardtail, it takes like 1 or 2 rides to get used to it, and then I'm like, I can ride totally normal, but it takes a few rides.
Different line choice a little bit, different places you want to ride,
But getting used to like kind of lifting yourself off the seat a half an inch on that stuff with the backback on, nah.
Yeah, you gotta like stand up on stuff like that.
It was, as I like to say, user error. So it had nothing to do with the bike.
I hope you got a bacchiotomy after that.
That's too funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
You got any good rides recently, J-Rad?
Yeah, actually, a couple of good rides. I actually, the local people are going to be like, oh, wow, you just got out there. But I went out to San Gabe's and rode El Prieto, which is like a famous trail out there, right? Mm-hmm. That I've been wanting to ride for a long time. But, I just don't get out that way very often. Yeah. And I rode that
as close as it is, it's, you still have to drive past a lot of good riding to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of been on my radar for a while. So I went out there with my buddy Andre and Andy, and we rode that, and that was sick. And they had just gotten like a bunch of dew, and like it was really nice conditions. And I seemed like they had just done a bunch of trail work on that, so that was pretty cool. And just totally different environment and and trail style than we're used to out here. So that was super cool. And I've just been riding my SB140 with all the new XTR stuff, and just kind of loving that and putting it through its paces. So
XTR wireless.
Yeah. Putting that through the ringer, and there'll be a review out for that stuff later. So
was it loud today when we just rode?
It actually wasn't.
Huh.
It's funny. So I used to have the short cage, with the 9-45 tooth cassette with the XTR carbon wheels and like Forecasters, like super lightweight XC setup on the 140, and I just put my Race Face Aero wheels back on with the bigger cassette 1051 and the long cage, and it's like seems like it's quieter now. Maybe it's just those wheels are like super lightweight and they made it kind of louder.
Yeah.
But now it's like the only thing I'm hearing is the brake pads rattling. So once I figure out
how has Shimano not solved that?
Well, they said they did, but they didn't. They said, the hole is ovalized, so it doesn't. It still rattles quite a bit, you guys. I'm sorry.
Did anyone ride this?
It's like, did you guys just say this and nobody tested it? Because it's clearly rattling. So we'll get some non-finned pads and we'll figure it out. But they work really well.
Nice.
I'm stoked. The bite point has not been wandering, which is nice. That's like I think if they were going to fix one thing, that's a big thing to fix, and they fixed it. So at least so far, the brakes have been really good.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, it's cool to see Shimano kind of come back and start competing with SRAM again, because for a little while they're falling off with some older product, and SRAM was just innovating and making new stuff, and now they're back. Yeah, they're back in the ring battling again, neck and neck.
Their lunch was being eaten, as they say, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just been chilling, enjoying riding bikes and a little trail work here and there, get our local stuff back up and running, and
What a guy.
Nice.
Doing trail work.
Just a little bit,
Just a little bit.
Just a little
Cutting a few branches here and there.
Branches. I don't own a weed whacker, and that's what we really need is like serious haircuts all around.
Yeah. Didn't we buy a weed whacker for the shop, or did we bought those other hedge trimmers or something?
That's news to me.
Oh yeah, but Liam asked like if the shop would pay for some trail trim tools a while ago, and I said, yeah, sure.
You guys just need handguards on every bike.
There we go.
Yeah, instead just use handguards.
Exactly.
Which are getting increasingly popular.
For a good reason.
Yeah, they
these
are.
things are overgrown.
Don't trim, just buy handguards.
Yeah. Great solution.
Yeah, right? Well, that kind of, leads us, I guess, into our next topic, which is kind of why you're here, Adam, to talk about the rebirth of Revel Bikes.
The rebirth of Revel Bikes.
The exciting, future and current state that we're in, and then just the exciting nature of what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us a little bit about what's going
on. Bit of a story to unpack there, eh, bud?
Let's a little bit unpack there.
How much time you got?
Yeah, well, start from the top, so all the way back in
2018?
2018 launched, right?
2019
launched, okay.
Yep,
wow.
2019 launched, yep. Yeah, no, I'll say that being back here is something I didn't, like, if 3 months ago you said that, you'll be back and having a podcast with Jeff and Jared, like, I wouldn't have believed you. Like, this is kind of crazy to be back here and talking about bikes again. So I feel really lucky. I had a year and a half away from the bike industry, and I kind of really miss the bike industry.
Wow.
It's really nice. So I did not expect to be back this way. Definitely did not expect to be back this soon or back at Revel, but the last few months, a lot of stuff's happened, and here we are. So it's pretty cool. It's good to be back.
So to timeline it out a little bit, you and some dudes founded Revel in whenever, but you launched it in 2019, some epic bikes. You were the key founder CEO, rode that into the crazy boom times of the pandemic years. And then what happened from there?
So yeah, launched in early 2019, had a year of normal sales. Things took off. Like, we started working with you guys a few weeks after we launched, which, like, at the time when we launched, it was me and 5 other people. Like, it was 6 of us total, like, in the small warehouse in Carbondale, Colorado, like, small little mountain town with cool bike trails and stuff. And I got a call from you, Jeff, and I remember, like, I was on the phone and I was, like, trying to be all cool and stuff, but I was like, Worldwide's calling. I was so excited because, like, we were a tiny company. I didn't think, like, I just thought it would take several more years for the brand to grow how it did. And like, we started working with you guys. We were getting bikes kind of shipped all over the place, and things really took off in 2019, like, way faster than I ever thought they would. And it was great. It was really cool. We had 2 models at the time. We had our titanium bikes from Y Cycles, and then our Revel carbon bikes. And a year in, things were growing faster than I ever thought. It was great. And then COVID happened. And, like, we all know what happened to the bike industry then. Like, crazy stuff.
To the moon, as the crypto boys say.
To the moon.
To the moon.
Crazy.
Looking back on it, it was just really nuts. It was nuts at the time, too.
It totally was.
Really crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody was riding bikes, and everybody had extra money to spend.
It was absolutely
we were getting, what did they call them again? The checks we were getting?
Stimulus
checks.
Oh, yeah, the stimmy checks.
Bike purchasing checks.
The stimmy checks. The people were just buying bikes with them.
Carbon wheel checks.
Yeah, exactly. Can't go on vacation anymore, so you buy a bike check.
Yeah, Fox Ford checks.
Yeah. Yeah, we should bring those back.
Oh, man.
So things were going great in 2019. COVID happened. We boomed. We were growing like many hundreds of % a year and hiring people as fast as we could. And it was just going really great. It was super fun. And 2021 rolled around. We were still just growing like crazy. We were launching new bikes. Like, we were investing in new development. Like, things were going really, really well. Things were going so well that I was kind of like almost a little freaked out about the whole thing. I was like, hey, these bikes are great. Like, I really like these bikes, and, like, a lot of people really like them, but this is crazy. And one of the things that we were always working on was, like, being a bike brand is, I mean, 1, it's my dream job. 2, I wish I chose a different dream job if I just cared about making, like, the most money possible, because it's not a very efficient business from a cash flow perspective. So everything is about investing in money. You invest in designing a bike, paying for frame molds. That can take 1 or 2 or 3 years to make a bike pretty normally. And then you have to buy all those bikes, and then you sell the bikes to shops or to customers. And then it takes a little bit of time to get paid. So the kind of boring business side of a bike business is that it's really cash intensive. So a big part of my job, which I never really talked about because it's bikes and I like to talk about bikes more than I like to talk about business, but a big part of my job for all those years was making sure we had enough cash in the bank just to simply buy inventory to then go sell the bike. So even though business was growing, we were doing well, we were profitable, it was a really healthy company, I was still, like, always looking for cash for the business. And as you grow faster, that need for cash becomes even more. So a big part of my job and how I've gone about some of my businesses is always like bringing on investors a little bit before you might need the cash. It's easier to have that conversation, make sure you can choose who you work with. And as we're getting into 2021 and our business had just grown like 500 and something % from the year before, like insane, like we're growing too quickly to manage all of it as well as we should have. But business was good. So I decided, hey, this is a good time. I should sell a majority of the company. Business was so good, but I knew that it was the right thing to do for some of the investors I had, but really it was the right thing to do for the business. My second mortgage I had on my house, the money I'd borrowed from some, friends and investors and stuff, like that wasn't going to be enough money to continue growing the company and funding the bikes we wanted to develop and making sure we could buy enough inventory to be able to deliver bikes to customers. And so everything kind of lined up and the numbers were good where I was like, this is the right time to do this. But I didn't want to just sell it and walk away. I wanted to sell it and just say, okay, things on the cap table change, but companies change their cap table and ownership structure all the time, and that doesn't really affect anything, and who cares? And so I was pretty excited about that in terms of like setting up the company for success, and then for me to be able to like take some time and focus, be able to focus more on making the bikes and building the business the right way instead of spending I was spending like 20 hours a week just on talking to the bank and talking to investors and trying to make sure we always had enough money. And I was like, man, if I could not do all that and we could have all this, have venture funding or capital in the bank and I could focus on bikes, like that's sweet. There was like one particular time in 2021 that's a little bit of a turning point in my head, but we got really good at saying no, actually, which is a new business. Is always you have bike shops, you have people calling and they want to like buy product, and it's like hard to say no because you're like, man, I just spent like years like taking out all these loans and like going into debt to like fund this business, and people want to buy stuff from us now. But I knew enough to be like, okay, we really need to pump the brakes. So we had dealers calling every day when they wanted to like take Revel on and sell them in their shop, and that's kind of a nice feeling to have as a business. But then to say, no, we can't sign you up as a dealer. I'm sorry. We just aren't going to be able to like, give you the customer service or take care of our other customers like we should. But we had one of the major online retailers at the time, like they kept on calling and wanting to sell our bikes. And I was like, guys, like, sorry, we can't sell you the bikes. We're just not going to be able to like handle it. And they ended up like, they didn't really want to take no for an answer, which was really cool for me. Kind of, it's like kind of flattering, but
totally flattering.
They ended up at one point, they like sent me a purchase order for our bikes, and I had never even sent them a price list. I never sent them like part numbers. Just like made up all these things.
Take my money.
And this purchase order, like I got this email from them and I like kind of laughed, and I opened it and I was like shocked. It was like the largest order we'd ever seen. It was a 7-figure order for bikes.
Wow.
Just about right there. And I looked at it and I just sort of laughed. I was like, yeah, there's no way we're accepting this order. Which, like, if someone had showed me that order 2 years earlier, I would have thought, like, I never thought I'd see an order for, like $900 and something thousand for bikes. Like, I never thought I'd sell that many bikes. And here we are, one piece of paper from one customer. And I thought, okay, like at this point, am I doing a disservice to the business by like not having the cash, not having the expertise, not having enough people on hand? Like, how do I handle this? Like, I don't know what to do here. Like, I'm saying no to an order like this. Like, that's crazy. And so all those things kind of lined up, and I was like, all right, so sell the business, but nothing will change besides we'll be able to like do a lot of this stuff the right way. So in, October 28, 2021, signed a whole big fat stack of documents, and I sold the company to a private equity firm. I maintained a little bit of ownership. But that was kind of a big turning point in the business.
And then they tried to go big, and they eventually ended up going home. I think that's a good way to put it.
Well said. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
They went big and they went home.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Usually it's one or the other.
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy how you were acting in the interest of self-preservation, and then it just kind of like went out the window when you sold to private equity. They were just kind of just like, they became the yes men, right? Kind of is what happened, right?
Yeah. And I thought I had prepared for all that, and I knew that things would probably change a little bit whenever you bring on any investor, if they're buying, $1 share of the company or a bunch more, like things can change, and that's okay. But the timing was a little rough for these guys. I mean, they bought in at the end of 2021, which the bike industry, that was kind of a high point of the bike industry, and then things slowed down a little bit. And I think they were, rightfully so. What a private equity company does is generally buy a company and they invest money into it, and then they hope they make more money out of it. And they all have their internal goals of how much money they want to make. And the reason I actually went with these guys is they were pretty chill about all that stuff. Like a lot of the private equity companies I talked to were really strict about like, oh yeah, we'll invest in the business, we'll buy out, a certain amount of the business, but in 3 to 5 years, we want to get X amount of return on our money. And I was like, no, I don't want to work with people like that. I want to be here for the long haul. Really, I'm proud of this brand, myself and some great friends created, and like, let's do this for the long haul. So I went with these guys with that in mind, assuming that this would work out for the long haul. But then a big part of what they wanted to do was put a bunch of money into the company and just grow it really fast, which is all well and good until it doesn't quite work out that way. I will say the first several months were actually really cool because they were very supportive of products, which, the good thing is business was really good at the time. So I was like kind of able to like have my choice of who to work with. So I chose people that were really, at the time at least, aligned with what I wanted to do, which was invest in new product development, make sure we could, have the capital to have the right inventory, invest in our international distribution with this Taiwan facility. So they kind of said early on, like, hey, Adam, what do you want to do for new products and making bikes, and where do you want to make them? And I kind of laid it out there, and they're like, great, we'll pay for it. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Because before, if I wanted to do that, it would be like going to the bank and asking for more money, which they had already said no to me like for the last year, or like, trying to raise money from a handful of other investors or whatever. So we were able to develop, actually most of the new bikes that just came out, we were able to develop all those. I started each of those projects in 2022 or so, kind of shortly after working with the private equity guys. And we were able to get them into the best factory in the world and, realistically develop products that we wouldn't have been able to, at least as quickly otherwise. So that was a lot of the good stuff. They also helped fund the development of we have a facility in Taiwan, which for a company the size of Revel on the smaller end of the spectrum is a really big deal. It's like the best possible way to grow a global brand and be able to sell products and take care of customers all over the world with direct shipping from Taiwan, especially now with all the tariff stuff. Like this was a big deal back then. Now with all the tariff stuff, it's an even bigger deal.
For
so
sure.
There was a lot of good stuff that came from working with the outside money. We were able to like move many years ahead of what Revel would have been. But then there's also kind of a lot of not so good stuff. So a lot of that kind of started to come out, and I got really into the bike business for a lot of reasons, mainly because I really freaking like bikes, but I also kind of found that I really like the business side too. And we've talked about this stuff a lot. Like the business side is super, super fun. Like,
yeah, it's a great industry to be in with good people that are passionate about creating cool products and riding bikes and being outside. And yeah, not every industry is like that. The bike industry definitely is good.
The people are here because they care. They want to be here.
Yeah.
That makes going to work every day really fun. So, but kind of what started happening was the private equity firm was really into a lot of this like kind of big bureaucratic management stuff. I found like most days I felt like I was spending time, like I hadn't made a PowerPoint presentation since like freshman year of college when I had to like make some book report. Like, I had to learn PowerPoint again. I was doing PowerPoints like all the time. And then we'd have all these like department meetings and everybody would do these big reports. And like, there's a lot of like very slow, like big meetings and just like so many PowerPoint presentations. And so I ended up letting them know that I was going to work my way out of the business, but I'd take as long as possible. Like, how can I help set the company up for success? Really care about the business, care about all the people there, want to be able to set it up, but that it would be best if I just wasn't there anymore. Like, hey, you guys want to do it this way? Like, that's all good, but I'm going to slowly step my way out of things. Which was a super tough decision. So we ended up hiring a CEO. I got to, we worked together on that. Hiring a CEO to replace me, it actually went really well. It was like an easy, good process. And I was kind of really proud to be able to step back and say, okay, you guys, I was excited to go ride my bike and see what they were going to do with the business. And it's all good. And then if I really fast forward a little bit, it was a little bit of a tough year. I stepped back. It was the hardest decision I ever made to leave the business because it's not what I was initially planning on. Like I'd put nearly 10 years, 9.5 years into the business. I had a bike company before this one. Like I'd worked in bike shops since I was 14. I had an eBay business and I was like a kid selling bike parts. Like this is like my life. And like Revel was just something I was super, super proud of. So actually making this decision to say, hey, on April 15th, that's my last day of work. Like, see you guys and pack up my office and move out. Like it was a tough one. Realistically, I'm glad I did. I think it was a way to avoid a lot of maybe challenges that were going on there. But left, spent a year kind of traveling, ride my bike a lot, went on some cool trips.
Being unemployed.
Being an unemployed bum.
Yeah.
That's awesome. As they say, fun employed. That's
a good point.
Unemployed and fun combined.
It was fun employed.
It was fun employed.
I had some fun. I can't complain about that. Unexpected amount of fun at that point in my life. But then after a few months, I was like, well, being fun employed looks a lot more fun on paper. It's kind of fun to like make things and do things. Yeah. And so I was getting a little antsy. And I actually like
little young to be fun employed for that long.
Yeah, I need a few more decades in the working world before I can enjoy that.
Oh man.
And then actually during that time, like, I know we were always like catch up and talk business stuff, but I was like, I had a non-compete, so I couldn't get back into the bike world, which was fine. I like wasn't like itching to do it that badly, but I was starting to think of new bike ideas. I bought like 20 different domain names for my next bike company name. Like anytime I thought of something good, I'd be like, I'm going to buy that domain name. They all like kind of suck, to be honest. Anyone wants some bike company domain names, I'll be selling them now.
Oh, that's funny.
But I was kind of getting to the point where I was like, all right, I think it'd be fun to get back into this. Like after all sorts of soul searching and what might I want to do? Well, the bike industry is just the best. Like it's just awesome in every way. So, then we were on a trip. I kind of heard some mumbling, some rumors, but I got some texts from some people in the industry. No one at Revel. This is a couple months ago now. This is early April, I think. And kind of heard like, hey, there's something going on with your old company. Like you should follow up on this. Like something's happening. And I kind of heard that from a few people and there's some murmurs. And I'd thought like in my mind, I'd thought a lot about Revel and, everything, but I wasn't, I don't know. I didn't know what was going to happen. And then the day before that news went public that a lot of people listening to this might have seen a few months ago where they announced that Revel was closing its doors and had all this debt and everything. The night before that news went out, I got a call from Revel and they said, hey, I'm really sorry. I want to let you know that the company you started is closing tomorrow. And dude, it was like, it's pretty unfortunate news to hear.
Yeah, that's crushing.
I was not very stoked. It was like the biggest gut punch I've ever had. I was like, dude, this is ridiculous. Like, there's no way.
Yeah. That's like one of those, you idiots. What'd you do?
My child.
Yes.
What have you done to my boy?
I wish you guys were there when I got that phone call so you could say that. I was like sitting on the couch like flabbergasted. I was like, what?
Wow.
What? How does that happen? Like, I didn't believe it till I heard it from them. I was like, oh, you're closing. Like, that's crazy. Like, to me, that's like a small private business, you have a lot of freedom. You can do a lot of things you want. But one thing you can't do is run a business in a way where you have to make a decision like that. Like, to me, that's like kind of the basics. Like, a company should not run to the point where they need to close the doors and lay off employees and let down vendors and let down customers and let down, people
that's running it ragged big time. Yeah.
It's just not it was, all kinds of weird emotions around that. But I was like, that's you can't do that. So then I jumped into, okay, I need to figure out how to buy this company back. And it was really weird, and without going into all the like crazy details of talking to lawyers and like I didn't even know all these different types of law. There's like all these different lawyers and people in the banks that like deal with this sort of thing. And it's like after working with them for a few weeks, that's one line of work I would love to never be a part of ever again.
Wow.
it wasn't, it's kind of funny now because as it's been now about a month of like actually operating this new company, but a lot of people are like, oh yeah, that's cool, you bought it back, like that makes sense, and it does on one hand, and some other bike companies have done it. You've seen like Kona go through this and stuff, which is really
story of the industry these days.
Yeah. But when I was going through the process, when the bank foreclosed, like basically Revel couldn't pay back a bank loan to the bank. And so the bank finally was like, we're taking the assets of your company. It's just like, if you can't pay the mortgage on your house, the bank can take your house back. And that's what they do at a certain point. And when the bank took the assets of the company, then their goal was, and they send it to like a third party, and the third party tries to just like sell it for what they can and like get bids for whatever, sell some inventory, sell some assets, and then hopefully sell something to somebody like me. That group, they did their job correctly, but they didn't care one bit that I was the founder of Revel. Like
probably not.
Only goal
we're just trying to liquidate stuff.
Dollars. Just they get paid off making more money for the bank, which is totally fine. Like that's how banking works. But there were quite a few other offers for the business that I had to basically outbid and kind of outmaneuver to be able to get the company back. And like I was pretty fired up at the time, where I was like, hey, this is not how I wanted my company to go. I couldn't imagine another like finance group or liquidation group or bike brand that maybe I wasn't like a huge fan of buying the company and then just maybe shutting everything down, putting the Revel name on it, taking maybe the suspension designs or whatever. I was like, that would like destroy me for my whole life. So,
add insult to injury.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a pretty gnarly couple weeks in there of trying to make sure I could actually make it happen. And there's like this 10-day public notice and this 1-hour auction period for the foreclosed debt, like all this stuff I never knew existed. I was like asking ChatGPT all these questions, and a really really good lawyer that rides Revels who was super 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 helpful, and but it worked out.
And pulled it off,
bought the company back.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels pretty good to have that part done, so we can focus on a lot more fun things than that whole process.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm stoked, man, because I'm obviously a fan. And the reason that I reached out to you guys when you launched was, Worldwide Cycler's mission has always been to curate all of the best brands in the industry and bring them all into one place. And finding rare boutique, small, privately owned brands of any kind, bikes, components, whatever, I like those things and admire those things and want to be able to sell those things and be involved with that. And that's like, to me, one of the coolest things about the bike industry is that those brands even exist, because a lot of industries don't have that, right? I mean,
Totally.
Most of them are just oligopolies, and the bike industry is not. There's actually like a ton of small boutique brands, and so that's cool. So needless to say, I was like, well, that's kind of lame. You sold out. And we've become much closer friends since all of that, funny enough. But then, so I'm just stoked to see you back and the brand back, which is cool.
Thanks, man.
So, yeah, same.
Stoked to be back. I learned a lot, it's like, and we've become closer friends. We talk business a lot, and I've tried to make a point over the last year and a half to like just talk to as many people as possible about business and, some bike stuff and everything to try to kind of get more perspective on the whole thing. And it was funny, like I'd been into business stuff for kind of my whole life, I guess, but mostly into bikes and then trying to make a business out of bikes. And I kind of sort of thought like, hey, the option is you build a business and then you sell it. Like I sort of thought that was like the path that you're supposed to go on. And as we've talked more and like have spent time talking to other entrepreneurs, it's like, hey, that's one option. And that's kind of like, talked about a lot in the news, and you see like big companies, like tech companies doing that. But like, is that really like the right thing to do or what you want to do? And what I've kind of learned is like, definitely not. Like, I really like having a bike company.
Yeah.
Like I get to come in here
you
to
can just run a business and enjoy it, and then life goes on.
Totally.
Just run the thing, operate it, and make it good, and carry on.
Yeah, imagine that.
No need to shoot for the moon or sell it or, create the next multi-billion-dollar company. Just like run a good small business that you enjoy and people enjoy, and that's all. Don't overthink it.
If you like going into work every day, you make stuff that people like to ride, like especially bikes. Like I feel super lucky I get to make bikes. Yeah,
it's pretty funny that the concept of a quote unquote lifestyle business is, gaining a little bit of trendiness in the entrepreneurship scene, which is like, I don't know why that took so long.
Yeah.
It's like before, which was funny because, it used to just be like this whole Silicon Valley mentality of, get crazy investment money, go huge, shoot for the moon, move fast, break things, blah, 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 be a unicorn, make $1 billion valuation is just like, no, you could just like have a business in an industry you love and operate it super well and be proud of that. And like, just, that's all.
Yeah. And when you would sit back and think about it, like that sounds way more fun.
Yeah.
Exponentially better.
Like you said, it's like if you just want to make a boatload of money in an industry you don't care about, you can just sell furniture.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Like, but you actually, you live in and work in an industry, you sell bikes, you ride bikes. We live and eat and breathe this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it a little more fun.
And to make a product and sell it to a customer, and they like, we get emails. We still get emails every day of someone that just like sends a picture of their bike and they're like, I love this bike. This is the best. I just went on this trip to this place on this bike. Like,
vehicles for fun.
Cool.
That's awesome.
That's a nice reward you get for like putting in the hard work and the time and effort.
Yeah.
So
totally, people creating core memories with the product that you created.
Yeah,
is pretty awesome.
It's pretty sweet. So yeah, I had some time away from that and kind of made me realize like, oh, I really missed that. And then the fact that Revel closed and I was able to buy it back was just like mind blowing. Like didn't think that was going to happen.
But like a several week span.
Yeah.
Drama.
Yeah.
Lots of drama.
Did not have that on my 2025 bingo card. I'll tell you that.
No. If anybody did, I want to talk to them. Like, what do you know that I didn't know?
Right.
Absolutely
wild.
It's good. So it's really fun now. We I mean, like it was fun working with you guys in the beginning, especially. I remember one, business trip we did where you guys were going to come out and you came out to ride new bikes and film a video or something. And we all went to the Revel Rodeo. And
so fun.
Like looking back on some of those things, it's like, man, this is a really cool industry. Like this is a very legitimate business trip.
Yeah.
But looking at it, like, man, we went swimming in the river. We went for a few bike rides. Yeah. We, had a beer or two at the rodeo.
Lifestyle business.
business.
A beer or two at the rodeo, and then got absolutely plastered at the Nugget, or what was that place
called?
The Nugget. Oh my gosh.
That did happen. I remember some wheelies. A few people were riding their bikes through the Nugget, and the bouncers were trying to throw everybody out.
Yeah, what a good time.
What a great trip. Oh my God. The best.
Was that the first time I went to Carbondale?
Yeah.
It's a fun town.
It was
super fun little town.
The best introduction into a town it probably could have ever had.
Yeah.
Rafting, biking, rodeo.
Yeah.
The carnitas. I think what the guys were like at the rodeo
the taco
all day
stands
smoking carnitas.
They're good.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a good time.
Come on out. Every Thursday there's a rodeo.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
twist my arm.
Lifestyle business.
Lifestyle business.
Hey, speaking of the rodeo, anyone ever talk about that bike anymore?
I actually when are we getting the rodeo?
Was that the last time we had you on the podcast when you talked about the rodeo in Sedona?
In Sedona.
Right?
When we recorded on a pool table.
That? Oh my gosh.
I think so. I think that was because this is your third time on the pod.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the last time was in Sedona Bike Fest in March in 2023.
Yeah.
2023 we were out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got that Airbnb with the weird converted garage into like a man cave.
Yeah.
And we recorded a podcast remotely on a pool table in a garage of an Airbnb.
That weird like closet bedroom that I think Liam and I were sleeping in. We just like open a closet. There's like two beds.
Airbnbs are so weird, dude.
That was a weird one. It was cool though.
Put a bed in every corner of that place.
That was a cool little Airbnb. What a fun trip too.
Yeah.
That was great. It like snowed and it was crazy.
Did you go to Sedona this year?
No, I did not go to Sedona or Sea Otter for the first time in Sea Otter, I think was 11 or 12 years since I've gone every year.
Wow.
I had a year, March and April, I had a lot of FOMO. I was seeing everybody's posts about Sea Otter and Sedona, and maybe it's good to have a year off. I'm fired up to go back.
Take a break.
It's good to take a little break from things and reinvigorates your passion and excitement for them,
Yeah. Lets the industry heal a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. But the rodeo, I want to start like screenshotting DMs that we get on Instagram, because actually I now do all the Instagram for Revel Bikes. So if I gave myself an employee performance review, it would be not super good, but we're getting there. So I get the DMs, and we get DMs every day from people saying, please make the rodeo. When are you going to make the rodeo? Come out with the rodeo.
Make a downhill bike.
So for context, the rodeo was a downhill bike that you guys created and worked with the late Arrivo
Yes.
Oh, they're gone.
They're gone.
Oh, no.
Their funding dried up.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was 3D printed carbon, right?
Yes. 3D printed thermoplastic carbon.
3D printed thermoplastic
And they had made some headway. Like they were making stuff for various different industries and whatnot. And so you guys designed a full-blown downhill bike with a CBF platform, which was epic.
Yep.
And made it, but it never really made it to logical production capacity. And then they disappeared. And
correct.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was like we learned a lot. Like it was true. Like when people say an R&D budget, this was the R, the research.
It was a concept bike.
It was a concept bike.
People talk about that with concept cars. That was kind of a concept bike.
Yeah, you never really planned to bring like that to market in that, form, right?
It would have been nice if we did, but we knew going into the project that this
might not happen.
/ probably won't happen, but we're going to try it because if we could 3D print composite bikes in America, in California, and be able to do this like customized thing, like it had all this promise for what would be awesome. And I think when we were doing it, we probably realized, maybe in 5 or 10 years, the bike industry will be there. I think after the last couple of years, it might be a little longer. Like a lot of that funding for that innovative composite manufacturing in the U.S. has dried up over the last few years. But it's cool for us because we got to learn suspension kinematics for downhill bikes. We designed a pretty sick downhill bike. Like
it was sick.
I was pretty stoked on it. CBF carbon downhill bike, made in America, 3D printed, and we had a partnership with Revel where they wanted to develop the bike too, so it worked out really well for us from like a business standpoint. It was a concept bike.
Totally.
And I would love to make it someday. That's the best answer I have right now. It is.
I mean, I got to say, when we were fielding questions, I had at least half a dozen asking for a downhill bike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like when is Revel making a downhill bike? And
people buy downhill bikes? People
buy downhill bikes.
Question.
They do. People say downhill's dead, but people are clearly DMing wanting to buy them.
Will they DM with their credit cards?
Yeah. That's like,
will they put their money where their mouth is?
Talk all the smack you want until you pull out your credit card and buy a downhill bike.
Yep. Limited run.
Yeah.
Just make sure we get a few of them.
Yeah.
No,
I'd like to do it. I will say we're a month into operating the new company, and I'm jumping back to full kind of startup mode. It's a relatively established brand. It's still a very new brand, 5-ish years old, but more established than when we launched at least. But we have 8 people in Carbondale. We have 6 people at our Taiwan facility. So we're very small. We are now hiring. So if anybody listening is looking for to help get people stoked on bikes, we are going to be expanding our company a little bit slowly, but to the point of building a long-term successful business, I want to take our time with that. So we're going to focus on a few of the kind of key models right now, but there's so much passion within our building to design a downhill bike that it will absolutely happen.
Yeah.
And that's for being a small independent boutique brand. Like we don't
do whatever you want.
We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
We can make one.
Exactly.
We can say, hey, we're going to make this bike and we know we're going to make $1 on it and not $1 more. And that's okay.
Passion project.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Someday. It'll happen.
Someday we'll see it. Awesome. Well, that's kind of like an amazing segue into listener questions. Should we bang out a few of these right now?
Let's do it, man.
All right. Adam, when are we going to get the massive Revel logo back under the down tube? Everybody wants it.
Yeah. The quote unquote rad down tube decal.
When can we get the rad down tube decal again?
It did look good.
It did look good.
Yeah.
People love it.
You guys liked it?
Multiple messages asking the same question as well. I liked it.
I mean, that original Rascal.
The blue
gold one with the gold.
Like your shirt kind of.
Yeah.
Except that's kind of coppery, but that was a sweet colorway. And that was like the Alaskan.
That was the Alaska colorway. Good memory. Yeah, I had to do a little nod to the home state with the blue and gold.
It was sweet.
It looked so good. And that was right when SRAM had launched that gold colorway and the Eagle stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It just like all looked so
the
rad
bling
together.
matchy.
Yeah.
One of our main head sales guy, Greg, at the time built up that bike with the gold SRAM with like Envy wheels with custom gold foiled decals. And to date,
come on,
the best looking Revel I've ever seen built.
So sick.
So sick. Well, How do I answer this professionally? Do I need to answer this professionally anymore?
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter, dude.
You don't.
You can just say, I'll put that in my consideration bank. That's what I tell people a lot.
Oh, that's a good way of saying it. What I'll say is, the bikes in person now, the new bikes with the paint we have, they all look like, photographing them is so hard. The paint's got like cool shimmery glitter stuff. The decals have some different hues. The bikes look, in person, they look so freak. Like, they look good on their website. Obviously, I really like them, but in person, they're better. And everybody's been saying that. Like, we have a lot of walk-in customers now, and we have a small little showroom in Colorado, and it's cool for me. I'm like, move my desk right in the main front of the showroom so I can see everything going on. People walk in and they say, "Whoa, that looks so sick in person. I didn't think it would look like that." But I like the logo on the down tube.
You like it too?
On the bottom of the down tube.
Yeah, it looks good.
So stay tuned, I guess.
So it's in the
Nice.
consideration.
Okay, it's being considered. All right.
It's been considered.
Love to hear that.
Speaking of Colorado, before we jump to the next question, Jared, I think you've got a epic new sponsor for the show. You're going to rip a quick ad.
Oh, I am. That's right. Okay, we're going to rip a quick ad. Amazing sponsor coming soon. And now, a word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, listeners of the MTB podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. We truly do appreciate it. We just wanted to take this moment to thank you guys, whether that's tuning in here on the podcast or any of the Worldwide Cyclery content. We truly do appreciate it. And if you find yourself on the Worldwide Cyclery website ordering some new bike parts, feel free to use the code MTBpodcast10. Just our little way of saying thank you for tuning in. And, thanks so much. We'll see you guys in the next one. And now, back to the show. Part 2.
Favorite trail/ride/route in Colorado?
That's a hard one.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of good ones in Colorado, it turns out.
I like living in Colorado. I mean, everyone who lives in Colorado likes to talk about living in Colorado because there's lots of good bike trails.
Instagram pages dedicated to making fun of people talking about Colorado.
Which I really appreciate those pages because most of them are like very accurate. Like, the stereotypes are there for a reason. I'll say my favorite trail is truly Red Hill in Carbondale. It's like, we've ridden there a few times.
Yeah.
It's a perfect lunch ride from the office. You get like chunky, techie, red Sedona style riding, but you're in the mountains. It's like super weird. It's like nothing like crazy legendary and all day, but it's like an awesome place to go for a quick ride. So that's my favorite for sure. But like, oh man, there's so many, like, between, we're an hour and a half from Crescent Butte, or an hour and a half from Kern Junction. So in the winter when it's like gnarly and cold and there's snow on the ground, we can go to Junction and ride.
Yep.
We're 25 minutes down the road from Snowmass Bike Park. If anybody is listening and they come out to Colorado and you like to ride bike park, Snowmass is amazing. On Tuesdays, they keep the chairlifts running until 7 p.m. We've reestablished the Revel Tuesday bike ride, so we shut the company down at 3 p.m. and everybody can go ride downhill park till 7. So
this sounds like some Carbondale propaganda.
they paid me to say that. I wish.
That's awesome. That's so good. Jeff, what's your favorite ride in Colorado?
Probably that trail we rode in Crescent Butte called Block and Tackle, right?
Oh yeah,
that's what it's called.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a moto trail, but it just flows super good, and because it's a moto trail, all the corners are banked perfect, and it's wide, so you can just move around on it, and it's really fun.
Crescent Butte has definitely got some of my favorite rides in Colorado as well. I think that Star Pass ride was epic. Dr. Park, also favorite.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
A little bit of everything on that ride. You got the tech, the flow, different environments.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Puffing and puffing at 12,000 feet at the top of that climb. And
right.
And then you get like the best descent of all time after that.
And just the best views out there in Crescent Butte.
It's beautiful, man.
Unreal.
Yep.
Awesome.
Great place.
All right. Bike industry question. How long did it take to bring the rerun from concept to market? And what was the toughest challenge with that bike?
That's a good specific question. I like that. We started concepting that, at least talking about it, in end of 2021, early 2022. So I guess in that sense, it took about 3 years. So I spent a good bit of time on that bike in the beginning, and we got set up working with Bosch. And e-bikes are, compared to a normal analog bike, whatever we call them these days,
bikes,
normal bikes.
Meat powered.
A
meat powered bike.
That's one of my favorites.
I like that. There's a lot going on with e-bikes. There's a lot of parts in there and a lot of little wires and motor mounts and batteries. There's a lot of things changing every day. And so we all had to learn a lot. Like Revel's, like a lot of us, like actually I'll say confidently, none of us in the building are like were huge e-bikers at the time. So we had to learn a lot. And I didn't want to just make a bike. Like we've established the brand Revel of like, we make the bikes we want to ride. I kind of hope other people do too. So the e-bike was definitely stepping out of that a little bit, but it's like, hey, we're also like a modern company. We like trying new things. Like we're not like super, we're not going to just like stay super close-minded, and e-bikes are super fun at the end of the day. Like we all know that, but we had to learn a lot about e-bikes. And we made a pretty unique one with the like long travel, but lightweight motor. And we sort of said like, you can go up Ajax Mountain near us. It's like a 3,000 foot climb and then this like awesome, crazy, cool, fun descent. And we were like, hey, we want to make a bike that's perfect for doing that ride, doing 2 laps of that after work. If you want to do 2 laps, because you couldn't do that on a normal bike. And it's like, well, this would be really cool. And I think we did a really good job. Biggest challenge. So, I mean, I left the company. They had just gotten a rideable prototype of that bike when I left the company. And then the team there did an awesome job finalizing it and getting it to market. And, a lot of the little final details that normally I'd be really involved in, I was gone from the company and I wasn't. But I got back and I was like, actually, before I like closed the deal to buy the business, I grabbed one of those bikes and I went and rode it. And I was like, I need to make sure this bike's really good because I want to make sure it's really, really good.
You go ride it and you're like, actually, I take my offer back.
Yeah, just run away. No, I did the opposite. I got back and I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is like feeling relief. I was really excited. Toughest challenge. I mean, there's a lot of stuff how you mount the battery and how you mount the motor and how you get your cable routing in there. If you want, I'm a huge fan of like carbon guided internal cable routing. It's just easy to do anything mechanically with your bike at that point, and it keeps your bike quiet. I'm a huge fan of quiet bikes. The new ones are like crazy quiet. We did all this awesome stuff with tolerances and bearings and all this stuff where it's like they're so great from a quiet standpoint. But making that e-bike look good and fit a battery and fit internal cable routing that is easy and makes sense was really difficult. A lot of e-bikes,
like little engineering challenges.
Yeah. How to fit everything in there. And I'm super happy with how it turned out.
Yeah. Awesome.
Do you think we should say the name that it was going to be called?
I think you should say the name that it's going to be called, because I thought that was the best name
so
ever.
When we visited Revel the last time, which was when you weren't there, people were pretty excited to tell us that the name was going to be the Relapse, or like relapse, like doing laps, relapse.
I love that.
Yeah, but it got shot down.
Too triggering or what?
Yeah, I mean that's what I was told. I mean, I thought it was a great name. I was
it's
like,
very clever, actually.
I will say we always did.
I guess it's a sensitive topic, so
it could be, but there's a lot of sensitive topics. What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
there's the naming thing was always like we'd do all these like competitions, and everybody would write down ideas for names. And names and colors are 2 things. They're impossible.
Yeah.
And especially in this state in history.
You can't please everybody.
Yeah. You want to come up with a good business name in 1964? Tons of great names, okay?
Call it whatever
Try
you
it
want.
now. Try it now. I dare you to try it now.
Yep. So true. So true. That's so true.
Watch out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's called the Rerun.
I think
which is also a good name.
It's a good name.
It works.
It's clever as well.
Yeah. The bike's it's super fun, man. It's being away from that project, seeing what the team did to get to the finish line, the little details that, it's like with a lot of projects, like the last 10% of the project takes 90% of the time. Like that's definitely the case with a lot of bikes, especially the first e-bike we made. And I was really, really proud of the company after I was totally gone. Especially with having outside institutional money involved, there can be a lot of pressures sometimes. And they did a great job of dialing in all those little details that it's easy for companies to kind of skip over sometimes.
Yeah.
And that bike is really dialed. I was really excited to see it.
Super fun bike.
Fun bike.
Really fun bike.
CBF on a motor. Kind of a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. Great recipe.
Yeah. No e-bike with a better suspension platform for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough.
And now the question we've all been waiting for.
This is a good one.
Uh-oh.
You want to read it, Jeff?
Sure.
Yeah.
Would you rather ride a Gorilla Gravity for the rest of your life or take a hit from Richie Rude 1 time per day? Long live Gorilla Gravity.
That's a crazy question. I don't even know how you come up with this.
The reason why it's a good question is because immediately I'm thinking, well, I'd probably rather take a hit from Richie Rude, but where would the hit be? Because if he punched me in the face, I wouldn't even be able to ride that day. So then it wouldn't matter. Then I would rather physically real gravity. But if it was just like a friendly, oh, what's up, dude, kind of jab, I'd be like, yeah, no big deal.
Or like
I'll
a
take
dead
that.
arm, or you know.
Maybe my stereotypical Colorado reaction to that one was take a hit from Richie Rude, like he's gonna pass me a joint or something.
No,
take a hit. I see.
Richie Rude's a Chuck Norris of the bike industry. He's ripped and jacked, and he doesn't ride his bike. The earth spins.
That's right.
Of course. He's
That's
kind of
right.
like, you know.
A lot of those funny Richie Rude, Chuck Norris things have faded away since he's like...
I've never heard about that.
You never heard those?
No.
There was like a whole... When he was on a tear, which is obviously still a, podium level, one of the best riders in the world.
Yeah.
But when he was on a tear of just winning everything. Like when Enduro World Series was at its peak and he was just winning everything, there was all of these Chuck Norris memes that were... It was like the Chuck Norris thing, but it was all bike related and it was Richie Rude. It was so funny. Dude's just ripped. He's just like straight out.
He's a beast.
He's a beast, like incredible athlete. So
total athlete.
So that's good.
That's hilarious. So the answer is taking the hit because you're gonna ride your Revel.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm gonna have to get like a full face helmet on at all times and chest protector.
Better watch out. If a Yeti truck pulls up to Revel one day, you're in for it.
Oh, I'm gonna run out there, slap a Revel sticker on the back of that truck, and keep running.
Oh, that's funny. Well, how about this one? Will there be new titanium bikes from Revel in the future?
He answered it.
Yep.
And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
We got ahead of ourselves there. We are like keeping it on the down low, but we're going to talk about this stuff way more. Yes, we are going to be bringing back the same current Revel titanium bikes that are in the lineup. The previous company, which is still weird for me to say, the previous Revel, they kind of slowed down the Thai bikes and didn't buy any of them for the last couple of years, and they weren't into that. It's, from a business line standpoint, the way they were doing how they were purchasing and building bikes, which was like build bikes ahead of time and put them in boxes instead of having frames on the wall and then parts over on the shelf, and then you get an order and then you build the bike. So like that was a very big difference in how I was operating the business to how they wanted to operate the business. In that sense, it's tough to do Thai bikes because the quantities are so small. Like obviously we sell a lot more carbon bikes than titanium bikes. And so planning we have like 2 different titanium hardtails. Well, how do you say, are we going to sell 1% of our overall sales are going to be the El Jefe and 1.7% are the Tyrant? Like, you can't guess it. So they decided to not do titanium bikes because from a business standpoint with how they were operating the business, it didn't make sense. But a huge thing that we're doing is going back to kind of what I think makes a lot of sense is not building bikes until they're sold. So then a customer can buy Eagle 90 build, maybe upgrade their carbon wheels. That you can get a Rascal with that same build kit, or you can get a Tirade with that same build kit. So now it kind of goes back to making sense. So we have some frames on the way to us, limited number. We're going to announce it in the next few weeks here. And everybody in our building loves Thai bikes. And also what's really cool is we can use the titanium bikes to try a lot of things because we can make a lot smaller numbers. So the first titanium bike, like back in 2015, I made, I guess we launched in 2016, the Y-Cycles titanium bikes. We did like some pretty funky ones. We did a 27.5 Plus, which back then was like kind of right on trend. And we prototyped a bunch of those hardtails and basically used the exact same geometry for the first 27.5 rail that we made. So it's a great way to try seat angles, head angles. The gravel bike, the R Plus, we made 4 different versions of that bike where we kind of tweaked all the angles, tweaked the tire clearance, tweaked the bottom bracket drop a little bit before we made the carbon rover bike. So like we were super, it's like the titanium and carbon really play off each other to develop better bikes in general. So yes, we will definitely be doing more titanium bikes. There's some really cool stuff going on with some 3D printing for titanium where you can like make some different shapes that, kind of what we've said about our Thai bikes is it's a modern take on a traditional material. So things like drop-in headsets, internal cable routing, slack head angles, like anything you'd see on a carbon bike, we did in titanium, which is not super common. But we're going to keep on innovating on that with the 3D printing. You can make some really neat shapes, kind of like a carbon bike almost, and squeeze your chain rings and your tire clearance and things.
I was just going to say that because a lot of, traditional Thai bikes just look like steel bikes, but you guys had way more hydroformed tubes and way cool looking, like the aesthetic looks so much better.
For sure.
Which I thought would be rad to do a full suspension tie bike that looked like an aluminum bike and not like because I just don't like, I know some people love like the look of a steel full suspension bike. I don't like it.
Like the skinny tubes.
Yeah, the skinny tubes. I just don't like the look of that. I like the look of an aluminum bike. Like you look at Banshee's aluminum full suspension line, I was like, those are rad. Like I love the look of that. If you could do that and tie with the same hydroformed-esque looking tubes.
Yeah.
I'd buy that, mate. Any day.
That's what do? I add that to the consideration box?
Yeah. That's the consideration box.
Awesome.
Love that.
No, tie bikes are fun, man. They're super fun. And that's like, we'll be doing more.
I think I too would buy a full suspension tie bike. That would be rad.
Yeah, well, if it looks
2 sales already?
2 sales already.
You got 2 pre-orders.
Right.
2 pre-orders. Right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good.
All right. This is a pretty heavy-hitting question right here. It's going to be polarizing for a lot of people.
Oh, no.
What are your opinions on warm Sprite? How about a warm Coke? I'm not talking hot. I'm talking left in a car.
You guys do really, you get a really good array of questions. Like we get some really serious ones about business and bike development, and then really serious ones.
Never underestimate the worldwide cyclery audience.
We strive for that. We strive for diversity, especially on the podcast.
Yeah.
Diversity.
Yeah.
Of questions.
Of questions, yes.
Warm Coke all day long.
Really?
Absolutely. If I'm going to have a warm Sprite, it's
no.
syrupy. It's gross.
Oh, yeah. Gross.
I don't know. I honestly have not even had a Sprite or a Coke in so many years. I don't really know I don't even know what I'm missing here. Maybe I've had one of those Mexican Cokes, but I don't think I've had a Sprite in 20 years since I was like a kid.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't drink that stuff. I don't drink
high
sugary
fructose
crap like that. I definitely have a Mexican Coke. I've had those.
Yeah.
Like when you get a nice glass bottle,
good.
Proper cane sugar Coke, like those I get, but I haven't had a Sprite since I was a kid.
Especially not a warm one.
No.
I remember drinking Mountain Dew Baja Blast from Taco Bell a lot and loving that.
Baja Blast.
Baja Blast. Wow.
Talking about drive-thru.
I don't know. This is tough, dude.
I'm surprised you bid on warm Coke because that's pretty foul.
Yeah, that's rough.
Are you offended?
No, I'm just surprised more than anything.
Okay. You would choose a Sprite.
Neither.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'd go. I'd probably take a sip and be like, nah.
Yeah, if you were like deathly dehydrated, what would
but
you do?
I mean, yeah, if I was dehydrated, like I do prefer Sprite. I prefer the clear soda.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say I had a Coke like after a ride. I don't know if it was Tasmania or oh no, it was in Whistler. It was after a ride in Whistler, and I was like, I'm having a Coke, and it was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, there a cold Coke after a bike ride is.
Yeah.
There's not a lot better.
That's what Liam loves too, right? Doesn't
Yeah.
always drink a Coke after a
And
bike
I was
ride,
like, maybe he's onto something.
Yeah.
Turns out he was.
He knows. Did he write this question?
No. No, I mean, I was shocked, but, not as shocking as, what do you say? We got room for, I think we should do 2 more questions because this one is pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Will there be a lightweight DJI Revel EMTB? Speaking of e-bikes.
Oh, man, really going straight for
you
it.
can just go straight into the consideration bank on that one.
Yeah, we're going for your throat.
Yeah. That consideration bank is wide open today. So
it's growing.
We're gonna drop that one in there.
I mean,
hey, I think cool, new, innovative stuff is awesome. Whether it's Shimano coming out with an electric drivetrain that competes with SRAM, like that's freaking amazing. DJI coming out with a new motor that competes with in a really good way compared to other motors. That's awesome. Like, I think that is what the bike industry needs. Even if I put myself in whatever place, that's so awesome for the bike industry to have cool new stuff like that. All of us are going to have
innovation, man.
better
bikes. Lacking.
It's well said.
Yeah.
What do you say? The rising tide
lifts all boats.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is gonna. I mean, I think that DJI motor, when they dropped, everybody was kind of like shaking in their boots, like, "Whoa, this is gonna eat some lunches in the bike industry, right?" I mean, the power to weight ratio, like when we did that video, I was like, "This is." When it came out, I think it was. I mean, it was blowing everything out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
I remember when we first heard about it, and we were just like, "We have to sign some NDA for some thing at DJI. What is it?
Like, is it a mountain bike? Is it a commuter? Is it?" And then it came, we were like,
"They're going to launch
whoa.
an e-bike." We're like, what?
This is crazy.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh no, they know what's up."
Yeah, apparently they really do. Apparently those drone guys really know how to make a e-bike motor.
Well, if you ever get bored, go look at DJI's full product line. You know they make those industrial drones?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, those things are insane. They can, they're huge. They're the size of a mini. They make drones the size of a Mini Cooper.
No way.
Yeah, I swear to God. Look at their product line. It's crazy. And there's these really in-depth videos. They make these commercial use drones that people use and operate remotely to fly around perimeters of land and inspect power lines. And they're literally the size of a Mini Cooper.
My buddy does that.
Massive
He
drone.
doesn't drive the huge one, but he does. He inspects power lines for SoCal Edison, and he uses DJI drones.
Yeah, it's wild.
But he said that the government is like they're phasing them out because of all that conspiracy stuff, and they want American-made drones, even though they're not as good as the DJI.
It doesn't even exist.
Like, well, it's not American.
It doesn't.
Get out of here.
Exist.
That makes sense, though. I mean, there's a lot of solar panels and cell phone towers, and apparently drones that fall into that category.
Yeah.
I wonder why they decided to make e-bike stuff. That's
kind of
crazy.
I think because if you look at those industrial grade drones, the motors that spin those blades is probably the same exact tech.
Yeah. It's got to be.
That's and think about it. Their whole life building drones has been wrapped up around a huge concept of weight, efficiency, motor power. It's all the exact same metrics that you're looking for. It's like, how can we get these propellers to spin this fast at this efficiency? Because the more efficient those are, then the smaller battery they can put in there. How can they make the battery more efficient? How can they make the operating system be efficient to run the whole thing? It's exact same problems they're solving.
Yeah.
So it's the
and
same
shapes too, like
exactly.
aerodynamic shapes, bike shapes
exact
that
thing.
look good.
Yeah.
Like it's all this.
It's
and
like all the same problems.
The user interface with the screens, and they already had that upfront from the cameras.
It's so similar to an e-bike.
It's like they're
crazy
just like,
when you think about it.
Just change the things a little bit, and then we have an e-bike motor. Yeah, that's. And I guess if you're talking about these massive drones that could,
the big ones is a big part of their business.
You got to know those motors are powerful, and then they're just like, well, pop it in a bike.
Yeah,
pretty cool. This last question though, I think is probably the heaviest hitting one of all. So be ready. Was Jeff named after the El Jefe, or was the El Jefe named after Jeff? Chicken or the egg? And that was from formerly Big Mac. Shout out, formerly Big Mike.
Did he? Okay, my question is: did he write formerly Big Mike himself, or did you write that?
Oh no, I put that.
Oh, you put that. Okay, I just thought it'd be funny if he was started to call himself formerly Big Mike.
Just so you know,
he might. Maybe he does. He probably has people coming up to him like at the bar, like, "Wait, are you formerly Big Mike?" And be like, "Yeah, that's me."
Oh, you must have named the El Jefe way before you ever even met me, yeah? Because wasn't it the Y Cycles El Jefe?
It was,
before
yeah.
Revel,
no,
right?
I'll tell you the story of it, but I think the real answer is it can be whatever you want it to be. We can give you whatever story you want.
But it was after Jefe, right? The bike pack.
Yeah,
bike pack racer, right?
So and now it applies to Jefe, and there's.
Well, I think most people named Jeff that grew up in the Southwest have been nicknamed El Jefe their whole life. So, and I'm one of them.
That's something I didn't know growing up in the cold white North. I wasn't aware of that. That makes sense.
Yeah. Huh. Well, here it's like you got, a lot of white people and they say Jefe, Jeff, Jeff, Jefe. It's just everyone who's named Jeff out here, his nickname is El Jefe.
Oh, that's awesome.
People called you that your whole life.
Oh yeah, that's been my nickname since I was a little kid.
Oh,
just random. The people who used to clean our house called me El Jefe. And
that's hilarious.
Call me Jefe forever.
Oh, that's
so.
That's amazing.
Look at that. Well, and then yes, the bike's partially named. No, it was actually kind of cool. So we made that bike. We worked with Jefe Branham, bike packer. He lives in Gunnison, Colorado. Incredible guy. He's done all these crazy bike packing races and won a bunch of them and set a bunch of FKTs and puts on a few races. Just like the world's nicest guy. Just really awesome and does the most badass, crazy races and rides and is really fast. So we worked with him. And we did kind of a pro model in the beginning. We said, hey, for a couple of years, we want to work with you and have you help us design this bike. It's a fast, racy bike packing bike. And then a portion of every bike we sold went to support his race entries and race career and all that. So it's kind of a really fun thing. And he still rides the bikes. He's the man. All the artwork on the bike. There's some lily flowers on the bike, which his daughter is named Lily. So we kind of worked with that idea. He sketched out some flowers and artwork, and then we worked with a graphic designer to do all those sandblasted logos. So it was it fits the bill of well, this is a really fun bike to make because there's a story behind it, and it's what he wanted, and he helped us design this awesome bike. So
totally cool, great story.
It was sweet,
yeah,
and a great bike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is.
I got mine in my garage. A Y branded one.
Same.
Nice.
Forever.
Nice.
I think mine's a Revel branded one.
Yours is named after you, man.
Yeah, yours is named after you.
It's got a name on it. Oh, good.
I do special artwork for your bike.
Well, Adam, massive thank you for coming out to do the pod. If people want to reach you, they now know to just message the Revel Bikes Instagram.
Oh, no. Oh, no, I made a big mistake.
Oh, man.
Thanks for having me out. It's great to be back.
But you guys are hiring, and people hit you up. What do you got, like some kind of support email for Revel?
Hit us up. I think it's support@revelbikes.com. You actually can DM us on @Revel Bikes at Instagram, Revel Bikes on Facebook. Call us. We're around. You can contact us. You can text us. I don't know. It's kind of however you want.
Walk
here.
on
We're
in.
Back.
Come say hi.
We're ready. Stop by.
Yeah.
Stop by Carbondale.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Come to the rodeo.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Thanks for joining us, Adam. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's been great.
Awesome.
Any final words, J-Rad?
Thank you everybody for listening and watching. We truly do appreciate it. And I guess we'll see you guys in the next episode.
See you guys in the next episode.
Cheerio.